In this week's episode, we take care about the market garden, build something out of wood, and prepare the greenhouse for the winter season. Due to way better planning and preparation, we have more vegetables to harvest than last year, and also a bigger variety of it. Not all of those are loved by everyone, especially as winter or fall vegetables are not the favorite like tomatoes or paprikas by everyone, but that's the seasonal change. And we do find a lot of creative ways to make them taste very delicious. And with that change of the season, also the big dying starts. Although that may seem a little bit dramatic, after raising those plants for over a year, now taking them down and bringing them to the compost gives us a similar feeling. Especially at that rather grim time of the year, it's really nice to see that our covering crops, which will be growing in the fall and winter season, already make their way to the surface. Over the year we have produced and were in need of a lot of climbing aids and support sticks for tomatoes, cucumbers, melons and other vegetables. Now we have a lot of them and we need to store them in a better manner than just putting them on the table. So once again, it's time for a woodworking project. As we still had some leftovers of our white beech laying around, we started this project like everyone, planing and thicknessing them to sensible dimensions. Next, it was time to figure out in which angle I wanted those pieces to fit together and make my mind up about the joinery. I couldn't really make my mind up which kind of a joinery I wanted to use, so I ended having 3 different joineries for 4 different pieces. One they all had in common was a dovetail which embedded one end of the beam into the other. Those dovetails always give me excuse to break out the good Japanese saw in the workshop. And as my skills still have to improve, there's always a little bit of cleaning up to do after the sawing. I used the same profile in the counterpart, but just sawed it in halfway, as this will be a half overlapping dovetail, so to say. After figuring out off camera how I want to lay out the first joinery, and then instantly regretting that decision when I was trying to make the joinery, I was able to make the first piece fit, just did some cleanup, and the last test fit. As you can see, they are not flush with each other. This is actually on purpose, believe it or not, so that I can plane them flush later on when they're glued up. I was not sure how they would come up, so I wanted to have some meat to cover up my mistakes later on. As I'm not too proud and not too pleased with the joinery that I've done on those, here's just a picture of those 4 different beams and those 3 different joiners I have been using. I oiled them up and then they were ready to go outside. As I forgot to bring along the spirit level when we went down to the field, we had to eyeball if those were straight or not. I just hope that due to the fact that the tool shed is not really straight in itself as well, it doesn't show if those beams are straight or not. This is just a small improvement, but one of those that helps us out gaining some more space, which is very needed at the market garden. Although as mentioned that I'm not too pleased with how the joinery turned out, I'm really pleased with the functionality. As we are constantly trying to improve our knowledge about the ground that we are cultivating, it is time to get some samples into a laboratory and see what is going on underneath our feet and plants. So Kata took some examples from random places in the garden to have a good amount with a decent mixture. Although it will take a couple of weeks to months until we have the results, we will share them with you as soon as we have them, and also the consequences it will have in the treatment and management of the fertility of the earth. We had a rather good season with the greenhouse. We could have watered and fertilized it a little bit more, but that's something to learn for the next year. For now, it's time to get rid of a lot of tomatoes, especially those who are not growing or thriving anymore. And those who still have fruits on them will leave for now to get some of the last tomatoes of the season. It is crazy to realize that this video was just taken in the middle of May, when the whole greenhouse was filled with small plants. And now those young tomatoes we planted in the end of May are already grown over 2 meters and are dying. As mentioned, those tomato plants who still have fruits on them will leave standing, most likely for another 2 weeks. Eventually have to take them down as well to make place for our covering crops in the winter season. Thanks for watching, that's all for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. See you soon.